few months back, I started a brand new series on this channel where I talk about samples and how they can be used brilliantly and effectively in songs, because there is a bit of a pandemic of bad sampling at the moment. And in that very video, you can go back and watch it, I do rant a little bit about how many songs are botching and ruining the art of sampling. I know it's all subjective, but when you're clearly nostalgia baiting people by using a famous song before and really poorly executing it in a brand new song, it just really grinds my music nerd gears. We don't appreciate this. I like making that video. You guys responded well to it too, and there's so many more samples I could talk about. This could really go on forever, and I'm just going to keep putting out videos in this series until the end of time, because sampling has been going on for absolute years and years and decades in the music world, and there's so many good ones. So yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to give you 5 today, amazing samples that are utilized in songs. Please check out my Patreon as well. Support me over on there. Support videos like this going forward. You get your own requests as well, depending on what tier you are on. And also you get to join the Discord server and get shout outs in future videos too. So all those kinds of perks helps the channel going, helps videos like this going too. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let me know in the comments as well what you would pick and your thoughts on these samples and what should be used in a future video as well.
Stronger, skin to skin with everything I ponder, so we don't take dishonor for that.
We're going to start off with Love Me or Leave Me being sampled by Red Veil on PG Baby just a couple of years ago. One of the reasons why I wanted to start off with this sample in particular was because it actually was sampled earlier this year by Kanye West himself on his track Burn, which still is a highlight from the really not so good Vultures. But I wanted to mention this because I just think Red Veil samples it and uses it in a better way. The cool thing about Red Veil as well is that he actually is very much involved in a lot of his own production, and considering how young he is and how talented he is and how he's already getting samples like this so well executed so early on in his career, just deserved to be highlighted. And yeah, really wonderful track originally from Band of Thieves, because that's the thing about this series, there's going to be songs where the original track is fantastic as well. That's the beauty of it. You can have a fantastic song, take something from it, flip it into something totally new, and both songs can be amazing. That's the wonderful thing about sampling. That's what gets the music nerd in me really riled up. It gets me really ooh yeah, because I love both of these tracks, and yet the taking of the "you can go your own way" is like pitched up, kind of sped up as well, chopped a little bit. It sounds great. Red Veil rapping over this instrumental is just so heavenly, so classic hip-hop sounding. It really sounds like it could have been made years ago, and yet it doesn't sound like it's just, you know, so obviously trying to be like a 90s sounding hip-hop song. It sounds really modern and fresh, and yeah, I just love what Red Veil did with this one. And go check out Love Me or Leave Me as well by Band of Thieves. Amazing track.
Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today's
Footsteps in the Dark into It Was a Good Day by the Isley Brothers. Look, they're going to be mentioned a lot in this series. I can feel it already. They are an absolute treasure chest of samples. Some of the best samples of all time are taken from them. They are truly one of the best bands of all time too, which is not talked about enough. But whenever they're sampled, they just seem to be sampled in such a brilliant way. And the fact that this song has been sampled elsewhere too by Thundercat, which I might mention in a future video as well, is remarkable, really, because it just goes to show how diverse and dynamic their music is to be used in so many different ways. But for this one, we're going to be talking about It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube. Love the way that it took the guitar melody and just looped it over this really great beat. The track itself is just super iconic, of course, given how Ice Cube is talking about how for the first time in his life, he can just casually go around his neighborhood and not have to worry about any messed up stuff going on around him. It's an insane way of telling this story because it just opens your eyes to a totally new world and how things can be in the streets and how things can be you know, in certain neighborhoods, and how the life can be depending on where you grew up. Like it really is just incredible in how he tells his story. Wonderful stuff, iconic as hell, and Ice Cube sounds amazing over this instrumental. It's just such a great marriage of hip hop and soul coming together, and yeah, that's just a combination that's been so legendary for so long now. On the complete opposite end of the scale, though, we have a marriage of two things that feels like more of a meme than anything else. We have a scene, a little clip from the regular show, Becoming Breathe by Yeats. I am in awe of this. I didn't even know it when I first listened to the song and reviewed the album, but I've declared this as one of my favourite tracks of the year so far. It still is up there. I still go back to it a lot. I think it's a really great rage, hyped up track that has this insane, blistering energy to it that I find so hard to find really anywhere else. And yet it's pulled from the regular show, which is just mad to me. Mind-boggling how people even sit there at their desks and think one day, let me see how this sounds, and then they just do it. That is the beauty of sampling. That is the beauty of music creation. And anyone that has that kind of vision is to be protected. Is to be protected, and is to never be hurt or damaged by anybody anywhere, because that is beautiful and it sounds so friggin' good. As I say, it's got this industrial, this really hazy, murky sound to it. It makes it sound so post-apocalyptic, and I just don't think anyone would have guessed it was from this, you know, this piece of media if you were to ask them, where do you think they sampled this from? Who would guess that? You could have 100 guesses and you wouldn't get it. It's crazy, it sounds fantastic, and I just love the way you can sample things in so many different ways. You can just pick a song, or you can pick this kind of sound and turn it into a totally new song. It's just so good.
Go in that direction. These niggas, they've been doing too much flex.
We're not really straying too far away from soul samples, are we? But at least this time around, we're getting a soul song being sampled in such a great way, but it isn't a hip-hop track that ends up becoming the new version, which is a very common thing when it comes to soul samples. But this time around, we've got the legendary Soul Dogg track, Can't Stop Loving You. Just incredible. The piano is so good. And those piano stabs of the and basically this sample doesn't really do anything with the original. In fact, quite a few of these in this video so far haven't really done a huge amount with the actual original material, but that doesn't necessarily make it bad or lazy or, you know, worse than any other sample. It's just that you get this totally new world reimagined through the eyes of The Weeknd, and how he can just put his own world into this track and make it sound so much different, but still incredible as well. And I've already said in my Weeknd video, best songs that he's ever made video, it's up there with one of his best. It really has stood the test of time in such a great way. It is one of his best of all time to me, and that sample really helps it along the way too. But yeah, his vocals, the way the chorus comes through, and how he kind of marries his voice over that, it's really clever and it's brilliant. But please, if you're going to do anything, because The Weeknd is already super famous and you probably at least know this song, please listen to Soul Dogg. Please, please. The fifth and final one we're going to be talking about in today's video of samples, part 2 of the series. There will be more, don't you worry. I'd Rather Be With You, Becoming Redbone by Childish Gambino. A legendary track in its own right, obviously became super popular, but the source material needs really huge amounts of recognition in its own right too, because Childish Gambino really studied and did his homework when it came to Awaken My Love. I mean, there are just so many little references to classic funky soul tracks from the past, from from decades ago, and to completely shift your overall sound and do a total genre pivot and do it well is remarkable too. And by doing that, he had to know where to pull from. And using I'd Rather Be With You, I think, was just really smart, because unlike some of the other samples, this one isn't quite as obvious, isn't quite as noticeable, I wouldn't say. It's flipped in a unique way, and yeah, it's done brilliantly too. Vocals on this track from Childish Gambino are just insanely good. That falsetto that he holds on to the whole way through shouldn't work as well as it does, but it really does work. And of course, you can't deny the original as well. Such a classic little funky tune. I'd rather be with you. Yeah. Those vocals sound fantastic, man. And yeah, absolutely love this one. Very one that I don't know. I feel like everyone knows Redbone, but I'm not sure if everybody who knows Redbone knows where this comes from. So I wanted to mention this one today because it's a great little one. And that is it from me for today's video. This will not be the end of this series, and you need to gas these videos up if you want to see more. There will be many more coming down the line in the future of me talking about different samples that are utilized brilliantly in more music. Let me know your thoughts on my picks. Let me know your thoughts on future videos if you want to see more, and what you want to see in future ones too. I might include them. And yes, check out my Patreon as well. Support me over on there. You'll get requests guaranteed if you support me over on there. You'll get Discord, you get the Discord access. You get shout outs in videos too. Please consider supporting me. At least subscribe. At the very least, subscribe, like the video, share it around. Have a good day, and goodbye.
Why I keep hearing footsteps, baby?